Welcome back. At the age of 6, our next guest knew he wanted to create children's books with his art.
And over the last 20 years, Aaron Boyd has illustrated more than 40 books. Most are multicultural stories. And his latest work is part of a middle grade series. It focuses on historical figures from around the world, such as the story of John Lewis, civil rights hero. We are thrilled to welcome Aaron to the Morning Blend. Wonderful to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Good
Thank
meeting
you so
you.
much for being here.
All right, so age 6.
That's pretty incredible.
5, I knew I wanted to be an artist. Most kids, they know they want to be a fisherman, a meteorologist, all these things. But, art was magic. You put a pen on a piece of paper, you put paint on a piece of paper, you never knew what it was going to do. And then I found out by 6 that, people make these books and they get paid for it. And it's like, yeah, that's it. I'm done. That's what I'm going to do. I was also very fortunate to, there were a couple children's book illustrators I fell in love with, and I got to know them. And that was it, yeah.
How did
I
you
was
get to
done.
know them? Did you just,
Yeah.
you message them? You
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm a kid. come
Your
talk to
earlier
me?
segment about the youngest child, yeah, you go up to people.
Yeah, because you got the guts to do stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
right? They're gutsy.
When you're the baby, you have nothing to lose.
I like
Yeah.
it. Let's talk about this latest book about John Lewis. And I'm sure there are so many different people that you could have chosen. Why him?
Well, I was actually really lucky. When the publisher, Lee and Low, I've done most of my books for them. In fact, my first children's book was with Lee and Low. They were starting this new series on, biographies of famous people all around the world. And they showed me, I won't say all of the people that they started with, but they showed me who they were starting with. And I was, oh, John Lewis. It's just, he's a living part of history. And what I often tell people is we look back on history, whether it be World War II or anything where we had something to overcome, and it seems obvious that we were going to overcome it. And it wasn't obvious. It was, if you talk to these people who marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge or grandparents who fought in World War II, you didn't know. They didn't know that it was going to be okay. And when you can touch someone who's still alive, that was just no choice for me. I was like, I want John Lewis.
Yeah. The bridges that we all cross in life, because I'm assuming that there are a lot of things in the work that you do that really go for all of us on getting over a hard time or struggling through something. Let's talk about that. What have you learned personally?
Oh, it's one of the things I do. I wouldn't say I volunteer because I enjoy doing it. I hang out with friends at an assisted living place in my neighborhood. And it's a constant reminder, we all have bridges that we have to cross in life. And they can be scary, they can be daunting, but we are here to cross them. And that bridge can be something like John Lewis literally crossing a bridge for civil rights. It can be fighting an illness. It could be sitting with someone else as they go through an illness. And I'm 48 now. You don't get to 48 without a couple things like, that you have to figure out. And so when you look at someone like John Lewis, it's really inspirational because this was a kid who was, I think, 20 when he met Martin Luther King. He hadn't done anything before, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. It's hard to not be inspired. And like I said, with the assisted living place where I visit with friends, you have men and women who were nurses in the Pacific during World War II, or they flew bombers in World War II. And so when I get a headache and I don't feel like getting out of bed, it's like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, I think that's neat. And I love that Kat used the word bridges because sometimes we think of it as struggles or we think of it as challenges in life. And I think that's a great choice of words. Let's talk about the art part of it because you're an artist and have been since you were a little kid and always loved it. I mean, the illustrations in this really bring it to life in all of your work and is really incredible.
Well, and the thing about picture books, children are usually learning to read, and so that's what the pictures are there for. It's to help. They can kind of pick out the words, but the pictures, bring it home that, okay, this is what's going on. And so it's really an equal deal in a book. And for me as a kid, I have to admit, I looked at the pictures way more than I read. I was actually set aside once by my librarian that I had to start taking out other books And it's like, no, these picture books are just, why? It's just, the pictures are there, they're so
That's what
compelling.
spoke to you.
Yeah, and it's communication. Art is communication. It's just like any other language, you're telling someone a story. And to get to be the person who does that, like as I said earlier, is magic. I mean, why would you want, I mean, aside from what you do, why would you want to do anything else?
Yeah, right.
We're trying to communicate.
Yeah,
We're just maybe
exactly.
not as artful or soulful. How do you create your art? Like if you had to explain to somebody who might be watching you right now going, I want to do what he does, how do you do it?
So, the two things I would say. The technical side of it is just photos. You find the right people, you get a lot of photos, you go online. With the John Lewis book, it covers him when he was a child. And there are not a lot of pictures of little John Lewis, so I had to get a lot of, use a lot of my imagination and get a lot of photos of other little kids that kind of had traits that he had to bring it to life. But the number one thing with art, with anything you do, and I think you guys know this, is perseverance. I always tell young artists, young people, just stay in it. Whatever you're doing, just stay in it. You're going to get better if you stay in it. You're going to start to rise to the top. That's when you make a difference. Some people, they get it right away. Most people don't. But the person who does it year after year after year, you're going to be better. You're going to be better in every way.
Don't give up on it. I love that
Good
message.
life lessons.
Yeah. And you have a book signing, an opportunity for people to meet you, get a copy of your book, chat with you about being an artist and your illustrations. It's happening this Saturday, April 13th. It's at 3 p.m. at Boswell Book Company. It's located on Downer. And people can also find you on Instagram, which is great. And we have that for people to look up also. It was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys.
thank
Thank you
you.
for having
Thank
me.
you so much. We appreciate your time.